And heading on over to Jen for Wellness Wednesday with Dr. EJ.
Yes, of course, it is Wellness Wednesday, and we always love this time of the show when EJ comes in, and he always comes in with something good, and this time he brought in a fantastic guest, Linda Meyer. Linda, you're so great to be here. You have such a good, spirit about you. When you came in, you're very calming, and to talk to you, it's been very refreshing.
Thank you.
But you're with Adopt a Native Elder, right?
Yes, I am.
But, kind of cool, you were EJ's first patient.
Yes, I was.
Go figure. How many years ago was that?
Almost 6 years ago. You can
Wow.
believe that.
Yeah.
So EJ is a good guy to go to then?
Absolutely.
I think so. I'm pretty sure everyone that has been to EJ will say exactly the same thing about how great he is. So Nalinda, tell us a little bit about your story though.
Well, EJ asked me to speak a little bit about wellness, and I just wanted to give a different perspective today from the Navajo tradition. And this is just a story about one of the elders that I visit on the land. Her granddaughter had been in a very serious car accident and been in a coma. And when I got to the land, they asked me to take him to Flagstaff, which was about a 2-hour drive, to see her in the hospital. It was very serious. So as we got closer to Flagstaff, Arizona, they said, no, don't go to the hospital. We need to go to the forest. And so I said, okay. And they had an article of her clothing, and they took it out and they found the tallest grandfather pine tree.
Wow.
And they did a prayer for her. And this story really actually changed my life because the prayer they did is something for all of us each day to realize out in nature we can be healed every day. And so they went to the grandfather, as they call it, the tree, and they asked that that tree return the strength in her body, that she would again walk and she would be whole again. And then they prayed to the sun that it would nurture her for her healing, and that she would receive the nurturing healing from the sun, that the sun would recognize her again. And in the Navajo way, every time you make a prayer, you're asking something that's a powerful force of nature to bring you back to wholeness. And then they ask the river that the river may help her to bend and flow, that her body would be able to move again. And then they asked the trees, like the cottonwood trees, to give her courage, because right now in that coma she was all alone and she needed courage to pull herself out.
Do you know what's interesting about this is I think we forget how powerful and simple nature can be.
Yeah.
I think we live in a world, EJ, I'm sure you'll agree with this, that is so based on medication all the time.
Yeah, maybe an outside something trying to fix us versus creating more peace and balance and allowing things to just kind of flow, allow things to kind of slip into that natural balance, that natural order. Did you want to?
Well, and I was just going to say, as they made these prayers, they made them to the stones, to the plants, which they called the medicines. Even though the doctors were treating her, they said the plants have the medicines to heal her. And then flowers, they said, would bring beauty back to her. And it was so moving to watch them address everything with just this article of clothing. And then we went to the hospital, and as we were walking down the halls, one of the other children came out and said she opened her eyes just an hour ago.
Really?
And
Cool
they
story.
say, that part of healing is for them to bring you back into your environment, to bring you back to wholeness, is to first connect everything around you. And I'm sure you've had a bad day where things haven't gone well or you're really stressed. And the elders, because they live so remote from things, to them, you're only in balance, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, if you're in balance with your environment. So going to a river, taking a walk, sitting by a huge tree, all these forces have the power to change yourself, your moods, your attitudes. And I think for myself, that day changed my life in the belief that we need to be looking more outward of how we live in balance. Not just at how we fix the bones. She recovered. She has a limp. She's not as quick as she used to be, but she recovered, which wasn't a prognosis for her.
Right.
And so I've seen this over the years and watched medicine men come into hospitals, not to change what the doctor does, but to add to the wholeness of the healing by saying, how do we restore in our environment?
In your environment. You know, like you were saying to me, you're like saying, if you've ever had a bad day, you just go take a walk in your environment. It kind of puts you back in your element. You realize the simplicity around you. Takes away a little bit of everything else that's going on.
Yeah.
And like her, she was put back in her environment and able to heal well.
And they do a blessing. It's called the blessing way. It's a very complicated ceremony, but the end words are, in beauty may I walk, with beauty above me, below me, before me, behind me, and all around me may I walk each day. And then they say, Najona Hasleen, Najona Hasleen, Najona Hasleen, Najona Hasleen. Let it be finished in a beautiful way.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I think we need the whole prayer. That was beautiful.
Yeah. And that's a part of it. I mean, there are many elements of it, but it does address the fact that the rain is what nurtures and blesses you. The sun is what feeds your body. And when they say the sun feeds your body, it's because the sun gives life to the food that you eat. And so it has those elements that are healing for people when you listen to them.
It's very
think,
true.
yeah.
Go ahead, EJ.
Well, I think one of the most wonderful things we can do each day is just get out and breathe a little bit, walk, and just soak in some of that beauty.
Yeah,
I think when we're in that, seeing the beauty around us, life
Yeah.
is so much more uncomplicated and so much more enjoyable.
I agree with that. And life gets hectic
Yes.
every day in the workplace.
Yes.
So it is true to get out and just take a deep breath and relax. Well, EJ, you're fantastic. Linda, you've been going to EJ for 6 years. You were his first patient.
Yes.
I'm sure he is glad to have repeats like you. If people want to come and see you, EJ, how do they do so?
They can always catch us at 655-7789 or healthyparksview.com. And Linda, thank you so much. You're so fantastic. It's fun
She's
just
great.
to be around her.
And
let
we're
them
going to have
know.
to get her back on because
Yeah.
adopt a
Native elder. Right now we're looking for drivers for our food runs. Anybody who would like to take a 4-day spiritual journey to help us, we're looking for people.
And when is that happening?
We pack food in September, and we need drivers the last week of September and the first 2 weeks of October for our Arizona food runs to be with the elders.
So you're busy.
I am
You've got
very
a lot
busy.
going on.
Yes.
Well, it's a great program you have. Linda, thanks so much for coming in and sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
EJ, thanks. We'll be
course.
seeing you in a week.
That's right.
Thanks, you guys. Make sure you stick around. John and I are going to be back, and we've got a trivia question and a good giveaway, so stick around.